Oh, this movie made me feel weird.
I feel really sick and ill. This movie made me feel gross.
Oh, it was really challenging, and I wasn't ready for... I didn't walk out of it feeling good.
This movie was weird and didn't have a good ending. It was unhappy.
That's the point! God damn it, it was good!
So we have seen Yorgos Lanthimos' latest film, which is The Killing of a Sacred Deer, and this film is unbelievable. It is literally like a 2-hour experience of someone putting a syringe into your arm, and you're just watching that syringe slowly go in, and
into
you're like,
your eye.
yeah, any part of your body, to be honest. You feel incredibly uncomfortable, but my God, it is worth it.
It is pure torture.
When you get what you want, but not what you need.
His last film was The Lobster, which we absolutely adored, and previous to that he did Dogtooth. And look, this guy is just a master of the weirdo. He reteams here again with Colin Farrell, and also additionally we have Nicole Kidman as well as Barry Keoghan, who knows how to pronounce his name, but he was most recently in Dunkirk, had a little role there, and he appears in kind of a leading role sort of here, and he is ever so fantastic. We also have Bill Camp, which we absolutely adore because Leftovers. And every film he's in because he's always ever so talented. And we also have Alicia Silverstone pop up here, as well as a really talented younger cast as well.
Now, in terms of what this movie's about, we only watched the first teaser, so we knew we were going to see it anyway, so we didn't really bother with watching the trailers. We knew we were going to see it. You should really see it too, but if I'm going to try to... It's kind of... We have a lead character, Stephen, played by Colin Farrell. He is a cardiologist, I believe. He's like a heart surgeon. And we find out he's got this kind of abstract relationship with this 16-year-old guy played by Barry Keoghan. And the entire thing is, if you go into this movie, you don't really know what the setup of the relationship is. You don't know what type of thing's going on here. Is this super sus? Do they have some like family relationship? Is there some weird sexual thing going on there? It's a really, really abstract thing. But over time, the way this relationship grows and develops, and as we find out more about it, we go into some really, really messed up territory. And I'm not saying this is nothing that you could possibly even mildly expect. This is a movie which is the best way to go into it is to expect the unexpected. And that's about as much as we want to give you about it, because this is an intense kind of family horror drama thing that's quite unlike anything I've ever seen.
This is easily the best horror film of 2017. I mean, like, it's unbelievably terrifying in the best way. I mean, this is not your torture porn, this is not your blood and violence, it's not your jump scares. This is seeping into your skin and creeping you out, making you want to walk out of that cinema because you just feel physically ill. I mean, we had a few mates around us and all of us at the end were going, I feel physically ill right now.
Really
And
sick.
it's not because it's giving you really confronting stuff. It's just like, the film just gives you,
under your skin. I just want to make a point here of saying that while we're saying it's not like other horror movies this year, like say it's also not like films like Mother. This is a film that actually has a very distinct story and mystery that's got a really strong hook. The whole time I was like, I want to know what's going on here? What is this relationship? What is going on? I was like that the whole time. So it's not like, it's a mystery-based film. It's not like I have no idea what's happening in this entire film. It's like, I want to know where this is going. I want to see what the end result is. So it's more of like a mystery horror type film that's kind of filtered through this really abstract lens. And going off what Jay's saying there, the reason why this film feels so uncomfortable, so gross, so kind of uneasy is because of the way it is designed. There is absolutely nothing standard about the way this film is constructed. There's never a point where a camera just goes back and forth between two actors. If two people are having a conversation, it'll film from underneath, over the top, on the side. It'll get all these kind of different angles and camera movements that consistently make you feel uneasy. It's kind of like a masterwork in kind of, I guess, just uneasiness and finding different ways to shoot a scene that are abstract and off-putting.
And if you're familiar with Yorgos's work, he's, really well known for creating these really abstract, strange films that have incredible dialogue that just seems really weird and almost non-human at times. In The Lobster, he uses this to his advantage and it was absolutely hilarious. I mean, that film is freaking funny, but at times it also gets quite horrifying. Here, he's really flipped it. Yeah, there's parts which are actually quite comedic, but for the most part, the language here just plays into this really sort of horrifying territory that territory that will just unsettle you the whole way through.
He's kind of a genius at deconstructing human interaction and saying, this is the way that people communicate in everyday life. I'm gonna just slightly skew it so you become aware of just how kind of unnatural we do communicate in real life. He's breaking down the barriers of, in this film in particular, of family dynamics, of what it means to be a working family with working parents, with pushing your kids to do certain things. This kind of analysis of the way we raise our children and what we expect of them. And he's got a really, really interesting knack for just making it seem like human interaction isn't supposed to happen, like humans talking to each other at all isn't the right thing to be doing. And it's this really, really great kind of way of exploring, I think, and reflecting on the way that we talk to random people in the street. The best part, some of the best parts of this movie are the way it deconstructs small talk when two people are just in a hallway, they're walking in the same place, same time, and they just have to chat about stuff. And while you're watching, you're like, people actually talk, like, not this skewed, but people talk about this stuff in real life, and it's such bullshit. He's basically like deconstructing how much bullshit we talk about.
But the best part is, like, all this kind of like bullshit that these characters talk about becomes incredibly relevant. And it's not forgettable. It's not as if they're just talking about random things that you just go, oh, okay, yeah, I guess we talk like that. It's like everything in the film is there for a reason. It has a structure, it has a purpose, and that's just, I mean, it's just intelligent. It's great filmmaking.
And the point of this movie is not to walk out of it and say, I had a great time, I loved it. You've got to remember that not all movies have that purpose. There's certain movies you're meant to walk out of and be like, I never want to say that again, that was messed up. I am horrified on the inside, I feel terrible. This is one of those movies. Yes, for us, we're super thrilled by watching it because there's so much about technique and construction here that for us as filmmakers and film lovers, there's so much to pick apart and analyze in what's being communicated. But if you're just going in and you want an unconventional film that'll make you feel things that you don't really get from anything else, this is that film for you. You can't go in and say, I want to have a good time, I want to have some laughs, I want to have some jump scares, I want to be scared. It's just not a film like that. It just works on a completely different level, and this kind of stuff needs to be celebrated because it's not often that a filmmaker can come forward and challenge people and have it so widely accepted as these films are, like The Lobster, Dogtooth, and whatnot. So I'm so glad that this movie exists to give us something that's different.
And I must say a massive kudos to all the actors working on this film as well, because after The Lobster came out, Colin Farrell said about Yorgos, he said, he's an incredible director, but he gives us no direction. He just allows us to act, to just do whatever we want on set, more or less. And, you know, for all the actors to come across with performances that are this good when the fact that we know that Yorgos isn't very much of an actor-director is just incredible, because the performances here are so very detailed. So those relationships that they have created on screen with one another and obviously off screen with the director as well, I just love it.
A lot of that would come out of the construction of the environment and the vibe on set, and when you just set it up as strongly as this film has a control of tone and atmosphere, as an actor on set, you just feel and vibe your way through it in the right way, and I feel like that's just how it comes out correctly. And I mean, like, really all the actors here are great, like Colin Farrell, Nicole Kidman. I think the kind of star here is, God damn it, why is your name so complex? Barry Keoghan. He's genuinely fantastic here. Like, I thought he was excellent in Dunkirk earlier this year, but what he does here, as I don't want to say too much about where his character goes, but he's a really kind of messed up guy, and the way he handles everything was just unreal.
I think it's just his control. Like, it's just unbelievable to watch the way he's incredibly magnetic. His performance here is very simplistic, but underneath that, it's incredibly complex. To get the complete control that he has over his face and his gestures and what he does on screen is just, it's magic.
And the cinematography here is excellent. It's got this kind of nice overexposed look. It's got this very synthetic look because of it being, so much of it being set in a hospital. And when you're deconstructing family life through people who are essentially all working in the medical industry, it's got a great way of getting this kind of really homely home that our main characters live in. It's got this great kind of antique look. It's really lavish, but yet somehow it feels so synthetic and unnatural. So I have to give a massive kudos to not only the production design team, but the cinematography here, and obviously the director for constructing this environment that feels so surreal and so kind of ominous the entire time, no matter what kind of situation or interaction is going on within it.
And the soundtrack here is absolutely fantastic. It's a bit of a mixed bag. We have some beautiful classic pieces that are performed, especially near the start of the film, near the end of the film, but then throughout we have this horrifying sounds,
Screeching and
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 weird percussion. It's just like, it's magic to hear, and it works environmentally so well within the film and what's going on. We also have a few songs that are played here and like covers. We got a cover of Ellie Goulding, which is sung by the daughter in the film, which was
Unreal.
just fantastic. We have a Christmas carol that's sung by a choir at one point, and that scene is just electrifying. So the use of music and sound here is just terrific.
And I think while we absolutely adore this film right now, it's one that will only get better the more, well, once we can finally stomach going back and seeing it again, because it is very, very full on. I think once people go back and start analysing this and pulling it apart in the same way that the previous films from the director have been kind of analysed, I think we're going to end up finding something here that is absolutely breathtakingly stunning. And I'm not saying we didn't get that the first time, but there's so many layers here that from an initial review like this, we can't even begin to pick apart. So at this stage, we are completely stunned by this movie and just wow.
So yeah, if you're feeling up to a very horrifying time at the cinemas right now, well, this is the film for you. It will scare you in the best possible way. I mean, it's gonna scare your insides. It's gonna give you a mild little heart attack, but that's good. That's really good. And anyway, we're going to give this film a 9 out of 10. Just could not recommend it more.
So that was a review of The Killing of a Sacred Deer. Have you seen it yet?
Did you like it?
Did you hate it?
Did you like this video?
Of course you did.
Brave more banter.
If so, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel down there somewhere.
And don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, and Twitter, all at Breaking Banter.
And a Patreon, because we got one of those, you know?